December 18th, 2019. Joe here at Simple Life Show, where the simplest answers are usually the right one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do all the good social media stuff to keep the rational voices out in the forefront where they belong. Now, I was going to do another video on this because I have heard some reports today about, of course, the crisis in Virginia. And I decided to see where this impeachment thing was going to go today. I really didn't even plan on really talking about the impeachment too much. But it's more important than ever to keep a conservative voice and a conservative leader in the White House. Now, if you know me, if you know my videos, I say this over and over that I used to be a Democrat. I used to be a gun control advocate. I used to be a lot of things. I used to really care about things for the wrong reasons. I still care about those things, but they're for the right reasons. And I use my rational brain now, moving forward, to think about what I can do personally to move things forward, to keep everything on the level and in the center and rational where it really needs to be. So Virginia, obviously, like I said in the first video, is a testing ground for a lot of the unconstitutional things that will be happening in the future of the United States, possibly. Especially if a Democrat gets in office, this will accelerate. We see, of course, with the impeachment that not long after the House took control of the House of Representatives, we had an infiltration, almost like a triggering of the spies that were in the White House. And of course, we haven't heard from the whistleblower yet. The person that started all this, we haven't heard from the whistleblower. So he, I guess, faded into infamy. We'll probably never hear from this whistleblower. We'll never hear him talk in public. I guarantee you that. At this point, it's a done deal. So back to Virginia, this is kind of where I'm moving here, because once the Democratic leadership, that's what you want to call it, took control of the legislature over there, they wasted no time. They had their agenda in mind when they did this. Now, the Virginia governor, Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, has weighed in on this, and he's pretty staunch about this. The representatives from Virginia, the lieutenant governor from Virginia, senator from Virginia, everyone that's on board with this, they're not going to back down. They know they have a fight on their hands, and the world is watching. And I didn't know how important this was until I started really watching the impeachment hearings and really seeing where the heart of everything lies. And it's not about guns. Surprise, surprise. It's not about guns or anything else. It is an emotional response to something. We have a way of being rational, or at least we did have a way of being rational. When we make decisions, not only in our daily lives, but also in our government as well. We have two sides, and we have two sides of our brain as well who talk to each other. Of course, I hope you don't hear voices in your head, and if you do, seek help. Please just don't argue with yourself. That's all I care about. As long as you're agreeing with yourself, that's fine. But anyway, we have two sides of our brain that's constantly, kind of communicating with the other. We have a creative side and a logic side. At least that's what psychologists say. Really hasn't been proved by science or anything like that. But, there's a lot of the evidence points in that direction, that we do have a creative and logic side. Sometimes people are more logical. They're more rational. Some people are more creative. They're more emotional and stuff like that. I'm not saying that some people are robots and some people are not. But we have this type of way of mixing it together so we come up with the best possible solution. We don't want to act like robots, but then again, we don't want to act like haphazard, over-emotional beings that just simply can't handle their own stuff anymore. And now we have a majority in Congress who are really thinking with their emotional side of their brain. And it's not like they're really thinking at all. They are just taking their cues from the mob. Now, the mob that's out there that's demanding all of these changes, everybody wants a change. That's why Obama was elected. That's why any president really is elected, because we want change. We see bad things happen. We see people being murdered, but we don't use our rational brain when we start to make these decisions about what we believe and what we are putting out there into the ethosphere. Okay? And a lot of that, it's almost like if you were in a sports stadium and someone starts a wave, right? Someone starts a wave. It's their decision to do that, or it might be a couple people, but it's their decision to do that. And then by the time it reaches a point, usually about a third of the way through that wave, that it becomes automatic. That subconsciously you see something coming, so you automatically raise up and you go along with it without any thought. The same thing that can happen about dancing. Let's say you're in a club or something like that, and no one's dancing on the floor. One crazy guy gets out there, starts dancing. He makes that conscious decision. He uses his creative side of his brain. Maybe he's inebriated, whatever. And then maybe another person starts joining in. The more people start joining in, it becomes automatic. You don't even have to think anymore, because there is such a social contract going on. It says, hey, you need to come along with us because this is what we're doing now. This is what I've been talking about this entire time, and this is what I will continue to talk about this entire time. It is a communist infiltration into the ideological state of mind of the population of this country. It is not about making decisions with your rational brain anymore, because no one will rationally look at communism and look at whatever comes along with it and say, yes, I choose that rationally. No, it is an emotional thing. I've said in previous videos that when what's really going to set everything off is, number one, taking away our Second Amendment. Okay, we are already seeing it happen even more with the First Amendment. They have practically won that war. You cannot say anything online without repercussion. You cannot say anything wrong about a group or bad about a group without having that repercussion. Usually it was some social stigma like, oh, you're an idiot, that's wrong, which is the way it should be. You should have a group of people coming in and saying, no, this is the way it is. And usually the small group of people with the dissenting opinion, they usually go away. But it's only because the other people give an argument that's better. And that's the way a true republic, or if you want to call it a democratic state or society, is supposed to be run. And I hate the word democracy. I hate it. I hate it just as much as socialism, because democracy means that if you have a group of 10 people, 6 people can rob and rape the other 4 people, and they don't have anything to say about it. So while everyone's just sitting back, laying idly by, all of these things are happening, and it's okay as long as we still have the majority. Well, guess the majority is actually here right now. The ideological shift in thinking is here right now. It's been happening for decades. This isn't something that is simply just this happening overnight. This is not something that is like a tsunami that you can prepare for, or a hurricane you can prepare for. Okay? It is a slow-moving storm or a mist. It's more like a mist. It's a mist that has infiltrated into every aspect of our lives. It's something you can't see until it changes our thinking. And that's how it works. Once our thinking is changed, then society changes along with it, whether you like it or not. So right now is the opportunity to really learn about what's going on. So this Second Amendment thing, they have done research. A lot of universities have done research about what will cause the Second Civil War. Now, when I say Civil War, I'm not going to say that it's going to be North versus South. It could very well be red versus blue, conservative versus Democrat. It could very well be that. I'm not putting that off the table. But it's only, if you remember your history, it only took one shot to start the Civil War. And it could also be the removal of that one shot to start the second. The taking away of arms can very well start the second civil war. And some might say that's hyperbole, that we could never have a civil war. But guess what? There is a lot of patriotic military members right now that support the president. And the president will not go along with this. And I guarantee you this is going to come to a head before the end of next year, because this is going to be happening the beginning of January. January 2020, this is when everything goes down in Virginia. We have an immovable force or an immovable object versus, you know the saying, we have an immovable object versus an irresistible force. The people are the object. They will not be moved. There is a lot of people. There are millions of people that are behind this, and they are supporting their foundational freedoms. Now, there are a lot of people that will say, now, when I was talking about the lieutenant governor, he's a staunch supporter of this. They are trying basically to minimize the impact of this. Please understand, this is not a minimal impact. There are so many people out there with the type of guns that they want off the streets. And it's not like they're off the streets. They want to take them out of your home. They want you defenseless. Go out there and just buy a semi-automatic. Guess what? Most guns are semi-automatic. Go buy yourself a shotgun. What, a single shot shotgun? What is that going to do against multiple intruders? I would like to know. Okay, you can use a single shot shotgun for hunting birds and stuff like that, but it's not very great for home defense. The AR-15 model, AK-47, those types of guns are perfect for home self-defense. I have several AR-15s. I have several semi-automatic weapons as well, and pistols. If someone broke into my place, the first gun I'm going to is my AR. Because they are right. It's more deadly. Why do you think people want them so much? Because you don't have to continue firing. I have seen so many videos of police when they're taking down a suspect. Full-grown men, okay? And they're standard issue guns. I don't know if they're 1911s or not. I'm not sure what police are carrying right now. Probably need to research that. But I have seen them try to take down full-grown men. It takes an entire clip to take down a full-grown man, depending on where you hit them, of course. But if you've been trained in firearms, you don't aim for the head. You aim for the largest part, which is the chest. In a triangle fashion, you get 3 hits in. Two in the top and 1 in the middle. People need to be trained on firearms. Guess what? That is why people die from firearms, from inadequate training. Guess what they are trying to outlaw as well? Training. They don't want people trained in firearms either. So do you have to go to the military to get training now? Can you take your guns with you? Absolutely not. That's government property. The government is the one that wants the guns. Mark my words, like I said in the first video on this series on Virginia, and I'm going to continue reporting on this because I believe in January there is going to be a meltdown in Virginia. It could very well be ground zero for the next civil war. I know that sounds insane, and it's insane hearing it. But this is something that I have been thinking about for a long time. Which one of our amendments would actually cause the removal would cause a civil war? And I honestly think, after a lot of thoughtful meditation, it would be the Second Amendment. Moving forward here. So who's behind all this, right? It's Moms Demand Action, and it's Everytown. If you haven't heard from him, please do some research on this, okay? Moms Demand Action. The person behind this is a person named Shannon Watts. And I went to her her Twitter page. And I just went through a lot of her posts. Of course, all of it is geared towards the NRA. All of it is geared towards mass shooting. Guess what? Mass shootings are going to happen. This country was founded on guns. This country has a love affair with guns. This country is a violent country. But we could have never had this country if it wasn't for violence. People don't win their freedom by laying down. People win their freedom by becoming violent in the right way. You use your words first. But once your words fail and you start to see your country being taken over, yes, it is time to turn to alternative methods. And I'm not saying that you need to pick up your guns and start shooting people. Absolutely not. I do not condone that. But if the government is coming to your door to disarm you, what are you going to do? Are you just going to give your guns over? It's a good question. It really is. Because I think about that daily. I think about what would happen if the military, the National Guard, the police, whoever, came to my door and said, I want all your guns. You're going to give your guns up, and you're going to give them up now for the safety of the children. Well, last time I checked, I wasn't going out there killing people. Why should I give up my guns? Let's go back to the Second Amendment, okay? Because I think we need a refresher. Actually, you know what? We don't even need to pull up the Second Amendment. We all know it. What are the three most important words in the Second Amendment? A well-regulated militia. There is a lot of people out there, especially from the left, okay, that are saying, like this article here from the Morning Call. When was this? It's from June 10th of this year. This was June 10th of this year. Why Second Amendment no longer serves a national purpose. Guess what? They are preparing everybody for this. We have been warning about this, everybody on the conservative side, long before I ever became a conservative. I became a conservative because I love this country. I love my rights. I'm an old school liberal, still am. But I consider myself a staunch conservative now. I consider myself a libertarian, anything but a liberal and a leftist, anti-American, anti-patriotic, anti-freedom presence that is in this country. So this article is simply about why the Second Amendment no longer applies anymore. So should the First Amendment not apply anymore? Guess what? Once one amendment falls, it's like Jenga. You can't just take one out. It's like the world's worst Jenga game. You get to a point where you cannot take anything else away, and that is where we're at right now. You start taking more stuff away, everything will fall. It goes further on to say it is the First Amendment that proclaims free speech, free press, assembly, petition, obviously, as the timeless core values of a republic. If the right to bear arms was intended to be timeless, why wasn't it stated very simply in the First Amendment? I want you to read that again. I'll go ahead and just read it again. If the First Amendment that proclaims freedom of speech, free press, assembly, and petition, the four parts of the First Amendment, as the timeless core values of our republic, if the right to bear arms was intended to be timeless, why wasn't it stated very simply in the First Amendment? You realize how stupid that sounds? Because there is a First Amendment, which implies there are others to follow. This really makes me upset. This should make everybody upset. You shouldn't be watching the game right now. You shouldn't be playing video games right now. You shouldn't be pounding beers right now. You should be doing a lot of the things that this entertainment centered society that we have wants you to do. They want to keep you placated while they jam the needle in. They're killing our freedom. They really are. And when there is a concerted effort to make everything a conspiracy theory, that is when you know you're in the final stages. You know, Alex Jones, I listened to Alex Jones. Alex Jones actually made me a conservative, honestly. I listened to him as a joke because I thought he was a joke. But the more I listened to him, especially when it came to the Second Amendment, the more he made sense and the worse I felt about myself and everything that I thought. I had a cognitive dissonance traumatic event. I went through a breakdown. I felt like a little kid where I just figured out that Santa Claus wasn't an actual real person. That flying around giving presents, you know, like the Democrats do, where they want to just give presents to everybody as long as they'll go along with their agenda. We will give you all the things that you want. You want free college? You want checks in the mail? You want all this stuff. Guess what? All you have to do is think a certain way. All you have to do is have that mob mentality, because that's what we need. Because we need some people to start the wave. We need some people to start dancing so others will join in. And we'll dance and we'll sing and we'll eat cake while this country burns. That is what's happening right now. So this Shannon Watts, okay, she is a leader behind this, okay? When I start reading some of her posts actually look similar to like a conservative Republican role. She might be center of the road. I don't know, but she hates on she really hates on the Second Amendment a lot. So I can't really say that she is a conservative. I can't really say she's a rational person either. I mean, some of these things are just ridiculous. I mean, here's something from 17 hours ago. Good marks and reviews on a letter I sent to Pelosi. We all know the letter. It was scathing. She is the worst, no matter what, with people like her. And crying Chuck Schumer, D.C. has been such a mess for so long. It includes the previous administration who spied on my campaign. That is a proven fact right now. Okay, this wasn't reported in the news. And I'm not going to really report on this, but I will go ahead and let you know that Giuliani has a lot of information. Guess what? I did a report a long time ago, months ago, about the Ukrainians and how they had information, but they couldn't get over here to actually give that information. Guess who's trying to give them those passports? Guess who's trying to get them over here so they can testify? Rudy Giuliani is trying to do that right now. He is trying to open this whole thing up. All of this is coming to a head, people. Trust me, it is. I know it seems like a slow burn right now, but it's coming. And her response, of course, to Donald Trump, and just like that, the Oedipal complex hypothesis becomes a proven scientific theory. Are you serious? If you don't know anything about the Oedipal complex, it's when you're in love with your mother. It's when you have sexual desires for your mother. This is how low that people like Shannon Watts have sunk into. This is why the liberal mindset is something that is irrational. They are not using the rational part of their brain. They are deciding things based on emotion alone. That emotional reaction to mass shootings, to terrorism, to just the division that's happening in this country. Most conservatives are using that in a rational way. They are reacting to this way in a rational way. They are trying to protect their nest. They are trying to protect their body. It's like when you fall into water. Guess what happens? Why do your hands get cold and why do your feet get cold first? Guess what? Why? It's because all the blood is rushing to the center of your chest to keep your heart pumping. That is what conservatives are doing right now. They are forcing the blood into the First and Second Amendment to keep the country alive, because if those two fall, if those two amendments fall, which I believe the first has already fallen, just like I said, like I've been talking about this entire time, once the second falls, then that's it. This country is done. It doesn't matter who's in office, because if Donald Trump does not do anything about this, if Donald Trump does not do anything about what's happening in Virginia, he should be impeached, because that right there is a subversion of the Constitution. That is the most unpatriotic thing, but I trust and I know that he will do something. If something goes down, Donald Trump will step in. He will pass an executive order. He will tell the governor of Virginia what to do. And guess what? There might be a standoff. Just like there was a standoff with segregation back in the day. They had to call in the National Guard because the governors did not want to comply with the president. So who's going to call the National Guard first? Is it going to be the governor of Virginia, or is it going to be Donald J. Trump? I really hope it's the latter. But who knows? We'll have to find out. I didn't have a chance to read all of her tweets. I didn't really want to go into it. But Mobs Demand Action, along with Everytown USA, they're behind this, obviously. Shannon Watts started this 6 years ago. They have 6 million supporters. The wave is growing. More people just want to take guns away from people. Look at this, okay? I don't have to remind you of this. The gun-related deaths in the U.S. Look at what happened in 2016. Look. It's basically gone nowhere. It's leveled off. It is leveled off. Assault homicide has leveled off. Okay? In 2013-14, it spiked up by a lot. I'm going to have to look and see what actually happened there. I'm not trying to blame it on Obama. But look, it leveled off. But that's not the important thing. Look at what's happening above here. Suicide is going through the roof. And you know why suicide is going through the roof? It is not because of guns either. It's because we have lost our moral way, our moral compass. And you might not be religious or spiritual, but you don't need to be to see that. You can have morality and not be religious. It doesn't mean God's not there with you, watching, praying, being with you. That's not what that means. It means that this country has lost its way. It has lost its way of thinking. We have less to hold on to, less to hope for. Everything is consumerism now. Everything is materialism now. People are digging bunkers, for Christ's sake. They're scared. They're scared of the direction that this country is heading in. You see a lot of other countries fall. You see a lot of other countries in turmoil, but their population, they're used to it, right? They see it every day. They want freedom just like everyone else. The people of Hong Kong should be an inspiration to everyone because they rose up and they're another immovable force, another immovable object against the force of communism. Do we want to end up like Hong Kong? Do we want to get it? Do we want to get to the point where the America is a socialist state, and we have patriots forming the actual militias that the Second Amendment put in there as a safety net? Because if this country turns down the socialist route, and they start taking guns away, and all this stuff happens, there's going to be patriots out there that are going to not take it anymore. And that is going to be a very sad day for this country, and we're going to be taking 100 steps back, if not all the way back to the American Revolution. I'm going to leave it there. Leave your comments in the box below. I would love to hear from you. I'm going to keep on top of this. I know this is what you want to hear, what you want to talk about. I agree with you. I try to talk about all kinds of different stuff because there's a lot of stuff going on. Until next time, this is Joe with Simple Life Show. Have a good day and be safe out there. See you in the next one. Bye.